and the star of Twixt, Val Kilmer. Terrific response to the film.
Thank you so much. It was the first time I saw the film in a finished form. I was at my daughter's wedding when we were doing the mix, and I saw it on a little monitor in Italy, but it was really fun to see it with you in a big screen with great sound. So thank you so much for this treat for me.
You mentioned at the beginning that this was inspired by a personal experience, a dream, really. Can you talk about translating that into this film and also in working with Val Kilmer and having him be a part of it?
Well, Val is a very funny man, so he kept me laughing most of the time, and I'm happy to say that got you laughing as well.
Yeah, hi. I don't think there was a question, was there? Just want to say hi again. Hi. I haven't seen it either, so I'm, yeah, that was great.
We're going to try to take some of your questions. It's a little hard for us to see up here, so if
just to answer your quick question, the parts of the movie that are just like the dream, I mean, literally are, of course, when he's wandering in the forest and he meets the young girl who says, "Oh, you're looking at my teeth," and goes in that strange hotel, and Edgar Allan Poe appears, and then there's a grave and a bunch of children come out of the grave. That was just straight out of the dream. I mean, I didn't do anything but, you know, speak it into my iPhone and then try to recreate it. So that, all those parts, the kind of bizarre story of this pastor who has the children, whose souls he's afraid of, all that was the dream.
And Val, when Coppola first told you this bizarre story, how did it all sound to you?
Bizarre. It's exactly as he's describing it. He said, I had this dream, and then I woke up, and it wasn't finished, and then it wasn't finished when he handed it to me. It wasn't a script. It was a short story, which just got refined. But it pretty much was your dream, right?
Yeah, no, I have the dream. I transcribed it, so in some of the notes, it actually comes from the transcribing that half hour after it was dreamed in this temple.
All right, over to you. There's a question right here, and then we're going to go further back. Yes?
Yes, mine is for Mr. Coppola. Great work there. I'm just curious, what are your thoughts on your daughter Sophia's films?
The question is, what are your thoughts on Sofia Coppola's films?
I love her films. Every one of her films is a personal work, from the beautiful Virgin Suicides to, of course, Lost in Translation. Marie Antoinette is like a poem. Her last film, Somewhere. One thing I'm really proud of is that I did encourage my children to always have their films be a personal expression, you know, because there's only one Sophia, and if she makes films that are personal, then it will mean the films are not like, there may be better films, worse films, but there'll be none like them.
Thank you. There's a question right here. The question is about the stylistic approach using color, black and white, 3D.
Well, the film, the 3D were just those two 3D sequences, and that came to me because when I saw the Abel Gance Napoleon, which I think we brought here, and I was always impressed that the 3-screen part of it was just used for the ending, and that you don't necessarily have to see the whole project with the glasses on. You can just see the parts that maybe might have more impact, because during Napoleon, you know, at the end, those of you who have seen it, when the 3 screens come on, you saw the 3 screens the whole time you were there, but they didn't really get used until the end. That always made me feel that the last act of a movie could be in 3D possibly, and I was anxious to experiment with that. As I've gotten older, I have really evolved in don't move the camera school of direction these last films, including this one, there are like 5 shots where the camera pans. And the rest of the time, the shots are exactly tied off, and it's all done through editing. And my feeling is that it prevents that constant. If you look in the corner of certain movies, you see that the camera's always adjusting, always moving, always going up and down, and kind of creates in me a little bit of car sickness. So in this movie, Youth Without Youth, and also Tetro, and all of Ozu, the camera never moves, and so in terms of a stylistic approach, I've adopted that in my, now that it's time for me to adopt something. Because most of my career I just suited whatever film I was making based on what I thought the theme dictated. In terms of the dreams, it wasn't black and white. It's, we developed a philosophy. Is Mihai here? Mihai, stand up, our director of photography. Here he is. We decided to shoot a look for the dreams, which would be, steel blue like the moon, but always, if you notice, there's always a red or a golden element in it as well. So it's not people think it's black and white, but it's not. It's a monochromatic, a controlled image, but there's, as much as the cold blue of moonlight is in it, there's always a warm element, a passionate element, a blood element, the lantern of Poe leading him. And of course we did experiment with the makeup to try to have the ghosts just glow, and I realized that the dreams have kind of their own look, and Mihai was able to achieve that.
Okay. Is there a question back here? No? Anyone up in the balcony? I want to make sure I don't forget you guys.
Our musical collaborators, also Dan Deacon and Osvaldo Hodahoff, who did a beautiful, unusual score. 2 very different musicians coming together to create this score.
Okay. Right here.
Scene where you're sitting at the computer and you're kind of out of it, and the whole basketball player thing. I'm just curious, is that improv, or was that, how did that idea come about?
The scene of Val writing?
Yeah. How did that come about, Val?
It was a crazy dream in Istanbul.
I kind of goaded him. We were shooting a scene, and I goaded him and basically said, write the story, and I'm not going to shut off the camera. And he didn't know what to do.
It's a nice homage to remember Throw Mama from the Train? Because you can't, and I like that so much, and I've been writing a movie for about 6 years now, and it's hard sometimes to start. There's a lot of humor and a lot of movies about writers about that beginning, so it was just kind of fun. And I would try every day to make Francis laugh, and he's always very close to the actors, which is somewhat rare now with video replay. But this, because of where we were, he was behind the door, so I was just trying to make him laugh.
There's a question here. Yes.
Can you talk about the location a little bit? Where was that, and what did you have to build to make it?
Can you talk about the location?
Well, it's in Northern California. A lot of the scenes are in an area called Clear Lake County, and Guernseyville. People were really kind to us. It was exotic to have a movie there, and they were, very tolerant of us. And then some of it, there's a little stage on our, in the winery, which we call Stage 22. And an amazing amount of the scenes were built in that little tiny soundstage. If I've become a master at anything in my life, it's on controlling the budget. Lessons I learned from Roger Corman. Where is it really important to spend the money, and where are you better off not to? So when it's your own money, one of the good disciplines of financing the movie yourself is that you are, very, very careful. I wasn't with Apocalypse Now, but I'm not.
That's another story. Back here, yes, go ahead.
What did you
Questions about Edgar Allan Poe and the inspiration there?
About a year, you know, I like to read when I go to bed, and I'm always reading something that's not related to what I'm working on. It's like, you know, those of you who do that, and it's like, you know, a friend waiting for you, and you're always excited to pick up the book that you're reading. And about a year and a half ago, I just decided to read all the work of Edgar Allan Poe just for my own education and pleasure, and I read all of his stories, and you know, learned a lot about him and his life. And in the dream in Istanbul, he just showed up just like he did. I didn't plan it. He was like a kind of Virgil. And you know, when I said, oh, I have a story, my God, I'm being given a story, and who would you rather have kind of take you on the, you know, by the hand, as it were? It's a little bit like Dickens' The Ghost of Christmas Past, and lead you on the way. And in the course of my reading, I did learn about his correspondence with Dickens, where they discussed writing stories backwards. And I thought, you know, how fun to be a writer and to get to sit and drink with Edgar Allan Poe and have him give you advice. But I didn't do it. I honestly didn't do it deliberately. He just appeared in my dream. In fact, at first I thought, well, that's a bit much. Can I really do that, you know? And then I said, oh, what the hell, you know, there are no rules.
I like the sound of that. Yes, right here.
Speaking of apocalypse, of course, there's a little line which is Brando and Kurtz in the line with the bug and the straight razor. Was that your idea, Val? And
you guys were laughing, so some of you didn't get to hear it.
Oh, I can't remember what I said. Life on the edge of a straight edge razor. Yeah, and I did.
All right, let's go back here. Yes. Yep. It's about the goth characters by the lake.
Yeah, it was part of the dream. I don't know where that came from. I think of goth kids as, you know, sweet kids that have their way of dressing, and I don't, you know, associate them with anything other than, you know, wanting to be individuals and express that style, like a style. It's like when the little girl with Elle Fanning says, "Oh, it's just the way I dress." But then I began to understand, you know, how there is that double notion that they are depicting these vampire characters. The song in there is funny because I had some real goth songs in it, and they told me, well, to have the real goth song was going to cost me $40,000. And I said, well, there's no way that's going to happen. I said, and I wrote down in the email, Nosferatu, Nosferatu, me and you, Nosferatu, and then we sang it. So we saved $40,000.
That's great. A question right here.
What do you find, whether in film or literature, is the draw to the macabre or things that frighten us? What do you think why do audiences keep coming back to the scare?
Why are we interested in being scared in the macabre?
Well, I was a drama counselor when I was, you know, 17, 18. I had 9 little boys in my bunk, and they loved me to scare them. I read them the entire Bram Stoker Dracula, and I told them all kinds of stories, you know, to go to bed, and they loved it. And I myself, you know, would get taken to the movies by my brother, and I loved all the scary movies. But in this case, you know, Poe really created that. He created a number of genres that we know. He created the detective story. He created the cryptology, you know, the gold bug. But the beautiful young girl in chains in the basement, behind the wall brick, that was his expression of his tragic having to witness his beautiful young wife and cousin, Virginia. I guess she had tuberculosis, but he watched this girl just waste away And out of that, he created this, this idea of a beautiful girl in the castle, Madeline Usher. And I was very moved with the idea that even after you die, you still grieve over the things that you felt grief of during life. And you know, for me, it was also something of that. I didn't intend this movie to turn around and bite me the way it did. But finally, I got to the point where I didn't have an ending, and I didn't know who had killed the girl. And he said, you know, you are the one. And I realized what that meant, and you know.
We'll just do one more question right here. Yes?
Okay, Tom Waits has voice for the narrator of this film. I was just wondering if you had him in mind when you were writing the introduction and that came about later. It's a great choice.
Question. Tom Waits and his voice.
Well, I had, you know, at first I always loved to have Tom Waits participate anyway. He was, of course,